From Tuesday, February 25th to Sunday, March 9th, Prairie Theatre Exchange is inviting audiences into a futuristic world where one of the finest restaurants, La Cucina, takes center stage. This five-star restaurant boasts impeccable service, a tantalizing menu, and it seems a side of murder. When a renowned food critic drops dead at the exclusive La Cucina, the list of suspects is as rich as the dishes served. Could the celebrated chef be behind it? The ambitious waiter? The dishwasher with a secret grudge? Or maybe one of the VIP guests with a few skeletons in the closet? Enter Lucia Dante, a world-famous detective ready to crack the case, alongside her AI sidekick Isabella. But Lucia isn't just hunting for justice, she's got a personal agenda, and let's just say revenge is best served cold. A Killing at La Cucina is a true murder mystery that will keep you guessing. Written by Thomas Morgan Jones in collaboration with Vertigo Theatre out of Calgary, this is a show that is packed with twists, turns, and a gripping storyline that will keep you on the edge of your seat. If you're a fan of the Knives Out film series or Agatha Christie novels or just great theatre, this is the show for you. Taking on the role of the sharp-witted sleuth Lucia Dante is actor Lauren Brotman. Lauren is an award-winning actor, theatre creator, and arts educator with over 20 years of experience performing across Canada and internationally. A recipient of the Christopher Plummer Fellowship Award, she trained and performed at Shakespeare's Globe Theatre in London. Her notable work includes winning a Dora Award for And By the Way, Miss, and multiple nominations for her contributions as a creator, collaborator, and producer. She's worked with renowned companies such as Theatre Northwest, Native Earth Performing Arts, and Canadian Stage through her company Bound to Create. And joining me here in the Classic 107 studio today is Lauren Brotman. Hi, Lauren. Nice to have you here.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
I have to start out by asking about the genesis of the play. This is a world premiere, right? Can you talk a little bit about the background as to how Vertigo Theatre put this together with Thomas Morgan Jones?
Yeah, so Thomas was working as the artistic director at PTE, at Prairie Theatre Exchange, and I think he was looking for a murder mystery. He wanted to program something. But he wanted something really modern. And so many of the mysteries that we all know and love are not dated in any way, but they're just not as current. And he wanted something that nobody had seen. So his executive director at the time, Lisa Lee, she said, well, you're a writer, Tom. You should write one. And he's like, of course I should. That's right. So he set about that, and He immediately contacted Jack, who's my partner, and Jack wasn't yet at Vertigo Theatre. So they'd already began this discussion, and then Jack ended up getting this job at Vertigo, and it just kind of lined up. So it was really Tom's brainchild, and then they just started collaborating. And Tom is the writer of the piece, but Jack definitely influenced it. And then we all were brought in and began workshopping, and here we are today. So,
can you talk about that workshopping process?
Yeah.
Like, how did that? I mean, it's the first time the play's been done. How did the character of Lucia Dante come together?
Well, Thomas's wife is Italian, so I imagine that was his sort of impetus. But I know that he's always wanted to shine a light and raise women's voices. So I think he always wanted to have Lucia as this superhero character. And so the workshopping process for this particular play, I remember early on, Thomas created a first scene and he sent it to Jack, and Jack read it, and I wasn't necessarily involved at that point, but I read it, and it was a strong scene, and they just started talking and batting things out. And then Tom is the fastest writer ever, and within days he had a draft, and then Jack, we'd kind of give him notes, and then a new draft would appear, days, or a day or two after the notes. And usually it can take weeks, sometimes, or months to get a new draft. But he was working really quickly. And then it came time for them to need to hear it out loud. So I was originally brought in I think just because I was the first person on their minds because I was there,
Yeah.
and we'd been creating. Thomas and I also hadn't created at that point, and we'd all wanted to work together. And then we had there were different people who played actor number 2.
Mm-hmm.
And so over the course of, I guess, 3 years at this point, different people were reading in different cities, and we were doing these big Zoom workshops across the country. It was great because we had so many people from different cities. Mm-hmm. And then eventually it was settled who the cast would be. And that was just a few months ago. Once it was settled, then things start to become more specific for those people. But a lot of it was, for me, for example, as a woman, Thomas is writing a woman, but I was able to offer things that felt more in line with a woman's experience.
Right.
Not that all women are the same, but certainly from my experience as a woman. Mm-hmm. So he was able to adapt certain things in that way, or flesh certain things out, or just track things differently from that perspective. So that's how it came to be. Can you talk about the character Lucia Dante? Like, what's she like? I mean, I gather she's complex. Yeah. There's a serious side to her and a humorous side to her. What is the character like? Well, what's on paper is slightly, I'm sure, different from what I do with her. But right away, it's so funny that when the first draft I ever read, she started with this, I won't say what it is, but this beautiful Italian word that started the play. And over time, that word went somewhere else, but then it came back, and what I saw from that word and from what was written on paper was a very strong woman who had a very clear path as to what she was trying to do, and it was to seek justice, and she dedicated her life to seeking justice. So the reason she was seeking justice was because of pain from her past. Mm. So she's written as this vibrant, passionate, Italian, expressive, strong, beautiful woman. But there is this underbelly of actual vulnerability and pain that was always really interesting to me. And she is, in a way, written, like, as I just said, kind of like a superhero, but in the same way Superman is a superhero, where he's a human, like all superheroes in a way. Like they're human beings. They have vulnerabilities, and they look deep within themselves to pursue the thing that they are in pursuit of. And justice is always the thing. So she's funny and she's witty. And then we also had, with the director's vision and Thomas's vision and our movement person's vision, there's an expressiveness, like a physical expressiveness that really shines through, especially when you're talking about someone who is Italian, and European in general, like just this vibrancy of the body. So she is cheeky and she's feisty and she's so smart, and she's curious. She uses different strategies and different behaviors with each different character. So she's not one thing, which I love so much. Yeah.
Joining you is Isabella, who is your AI sidekick.
Yeah.
Thomas Morgan-Jones says in the program that AI and virtual reality have advanced beyond what they were seeing at the time. Mm-hmm. How is Isabella portrayed on stage, and how does she help Lucia Dante?
Well, that was a huge collaboration. So with the projectionist, Andy Morrow. So he ended up filming her, which is me. So I'm playing her. So during the rehearsal period, she was filmed, and it was a whole process, like makeup, hair. I mean, it was to create an AI person.
So it's like a hologram?
More like a projection, but she's there, but she's not really there. And so you're seeing what you would see in a kind of virtual reality way.
Right.
And so she's with you. She's with us in the play. And it's strange because it's me.
Yeah.
And so they also had to go do some processing to make it look a little bit not like me, but it is me. And that's what's interesting, I think, about it, is that you're watching an actor be two completely different people. But yeah, she's with us, and and it's been really interesting to try to have a live me working with somebody who has been recorded weeks before, and my performance evolves, but that one can't. So what serves the play now may not have being what served to play then. So mostly it did, and mostly it really lined up. But we even like a few days ago, even like maybe 2 days ago, we're like, this scene can't work the way we want it to. So we have to find a new path and a new way for me to be able to work with this. And then we have our stage manager who's actually calling each line of the AI. Because if we recorded it as one thing, my rhythm changes, so it would never
line up.
It would never line up. So this way, me being able to communicate with this person is going through a channel of a stage manager who's brilliantly calling ahead of time to know my breath, to know when to say go to the sound operator, who's then pressing a button, and that button then goes to the projection. Like, it's a whole thing. So it's really exciting and challenging. And I remember not being able to even look at the image because it was too many things. And the sound is coming from here. This is coming from here. And I'm trying to remember things, and I can't deviate because she can't change. And then it's only in the last couple of days I've been able to just look at her as well and take in her image and breath. And now it's this very, very full, complex experience that is really interesting. It's a great challenge. It's a great challenge.
It's going to be great. Aside from the AIs and virtual reality, are there any other futuristic elements in the play?
Well, I think the whole concept of I think I can say this concept of virtual reality dining. What does that look like? And virtual and so Isabella, the other character I play, she also was a virtual. She was a fashion designer who created a whole avatar system so people who couldn't afford. She made high fashion affordable, and by making avatars, and you could buy anything you wanted for those avatars, things that you couldn't pay for in real life. So that's, I guess, part of it is this idea. I mean, we have avatars now, but they're just getting more and more complex. And now the idea of eating online or eating virtually, like and to be able to have those sensations.
Right.
So that's, those elements are very present.
In the program, there's you, there's Lucia Dante, and then there's sort of a generic character called actor number 2. Who is actor number 2?
So brilliant. So actor number 2, it's so funny because it sounds like this, as you say, generic kind of who knows. Actor number 2 is playing, I think, 6 or 7 characters, and doing so brilliantly. So it's a full-fledged human playing fully fledged humans. He's had to really find physical and emotional ways to differentiate. So it's Braden Griffiths, who's my partner, and he's just going to town with.
So he is the dishwasher, the chef.
He's he's all of the everything that's mentioned. Dishwasher, chef, billionaire, exactly. So it's really fun for him, but also extremely challenging as well. So when I don't leave the stage. That's my challenge, is not leaving the stage and going from one scene to the next. And so his challenge is then leaving the stage and getting to regroup, but at the same time doing an entire costume change and then coming on as a new person. And sometimes those things happen in the most magical way. You won't believe how fast some of those changes are. It's so exciting to see. And the director and movement person really leaned in to expose how intricate some of those are and how virtuosic in a way it is to have to make those shifts really quickly. You've mentioned the movement director. There's also a fight director and a choreographer. How is that incorporated into the show? Well, so Javier, who he is the movement person, choreographer. It's not a dance piece, but there is quite a bit of expression. So we did some character works, particularly for Braden to be able to differentiate, but also for both of us to find a bit of stylization in what we're doing, because they're heightened characters, and just to have even gestural work. I won't say what the opening is. There's a fun little opening with my character who just does this little physical thing off the top, and so it's just kind of. It creates a flavor for the piece in a way. So, and then the fight director, we have a great little fight in the show, and I won't tell you how that ends, but we fight. We have and I think it's It's interesting because the John Knight is the fight choreographer, and he created a piece really with us in mind, knowing how we move. Like both of us, I think, have worked with him before. Mm-hmm. So he knows how I move. He knows what I can do easily, so it can be more elaborate, and yet it's much easier for me.
Yeah.
And same with Braden. And Braden is he's so great physically. He'll take any fall and any hit,
Yeah.
But it's really stylized and choreographed as well. So
amazing.
Yeah.
Can you talk about how music and lighting are used in the play to help depict mood?
Yeah. So I'd say music, lighting, and projections really, and set. Like it's all a collaboration that comes together in this, very much so in this piece. And MJ who did the sound, and James who did the lighting, and then I mentioned already Andy who did projections, and Narda who did set. This piece, it requires that other character we've talked about, and in order to get her where she needed to be as a fully fledged human, all these things work together. But the sound. MJ works in such an interesting way, so organically. Like we were sitting we were actually recording Isabella, another character, and I just started humming a song that was in a different language, and it was just me, like kind of just resting, and I was just singing this song, and she heard it, and she came over, she's like, "Can I please record you?" I was like, "Yeah, I mean, sure," but like really spontaneously, not set up. Yeah. And she did, and she ended up weaving that into one of this transitions, and it's this most beautiful thing that was not in the script.
Right.
And at another point, she came up and she just had me click the Rubik's Cube the way I do it, and that whole soundscape has now been incorporated into the show, and so it's become this kind of really textured piece. Yeah. And James, really interesting too. So he originally, there was this idea of film noir imagery, like the lighting was going to be very dark and creating shadows. However, the set is white.
Right.
And so the vision of what he had with the director, it just didn't have the impact that they wanted it to have. So he, in a way, had to recreate an entire vision for this particular set. Yeah. So, but it's all, when I look at the set, which is very rare, I had one moment in tech and I stood back, and it's just like complete serenity. When I look at it, it's mesmerizing. So it's like you're somewhat entranced, somewhat surprised. So you kind of feel really relaxed and on the edge of your seat at the same time, just with everything that's going on. Yeah.
Amazing. What do you hope audiences are going to take away from the play? And how do you engage them in how the mystery unfolds? Yeah,
that's a great question and a huge task. So I would say that our job and what we know the audience, because of Vertigo, we know so much about how people like to watch mystery. And so there are usually two kinds of people. The kind of people who, like me, I just want to stay in the moment and I don't want to look ahead. I just want to be there and go on the journey. And then there are the people who want to solve the puzzle ahead of time. I mean, you're one of the two, really. Yeah. And so our job is to kind of make both of those things happen, where we can't give too much away, but we want to keep people guessing, and we have to stay ahead of the audience, but we can't let them fall behind. So it's this really tricky balance of us really somehow, through direction and through our performances and lighting and sound and all of it, highlighting this moment, like the aha moments, right, for both characters, and who has power in a moment, and story points. So there are moments where I really have to take a moment, say, to write something down in a very clear way. So I'm very clear about when I'm writing and when I'm not writing something down, for example, and when we're looking at each other and clocking. So and the director is really specific about saying, we want the audience looking at this person's reaction at this time. So it's really crafted, and I think what we want is for people to be trying to solve this thing. Yeah. And Thomas has written such a complex piece. You could watch it probably 4 or 5 times, which is another fun thing, where just to catch things, all the clues that you didn't catch the first time or the second time, because it's quite
It's like
layered.
it's like reading a good mystery novel.
Yeah.
I missed that the first time. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Or like Memento. I remember
Yeah.
watching Memento and I was like, oh, I have to see this again because I'm lost, but I'm so compelled. Or I'm not lost, but how did I miss that? Or now that I know,
Yeah.
you want to just be able to be ahead of it.
Yeah,
So
and stay on top of it.
yeah.
Lauren, this has been so great to have you here. I'm super excited to see the play, Killing at La Cucina, this weekend. I'm planning on being there on Saturday.
Wonderful.
And just thanks so much for taking the time to stop by and talk to me today. It's been wonderful.
Oh, we were so appreciative to be able to do this with you, and you prepared such a great interview, and we appreciate that as well. So thank you right back, and thank you to Prairie Theatre Exchange for making all this happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For our Classic 107 listeners, PTE and Vertigo Theatre's production of A Killing at La Cucina runs until Sunday, March 9th. For more details, visit pte.mb.ca or go to classic107.com. I have embedded a direct link to the show page in the article that I've written about the show that is up there now. Lauren, thanks again.
Thank you.